welcome to the What You Know About It podcast. I'm your host, Ra Palacio. Today, Sunday, March 11th, 2018, we will be discussing the topic of love with special guest, Anthony Barker. The What You Know About It podcast show is dedicated to reporting the current events, driving conversations, spreading the knowledge, entertainment, and shooting the shit with friends because I ain't got nothing better to do. Today, I'll be speaking with a good friend of mine, Anthony Barker, the owner and creator of the WUKAIPodcast series. First of all, man, let me say congrats to you on your marriage.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
How does it feel, man? I mean, you're a little less than a month in, right?
Yeah, correct.
How does it feel, man? Talk about it.
You know what? It feels surprisingly less stressful than I thought.
Yeah? You sure?
Yeah, it does. Positive. I mean, I couldn't be happier. I mean, you saw me the day of, man. I was so nervous.
Yeah, you were a little bit of a wreck, man, but I think most people kind of are, you know?
Yeah. I've heard the stories.
Well, forget the stories. You're going through it, you know? So
very true.
There's the honeymoon phase, and then you get down to the real stuff. But you know, when you do it right, it is right. It feels right even during the hard times, right?
It does, man. It really does. And I waited. I took my time, and really made sure that it was the right move. And I'm with the right woman.
Yeah, you guys waited a little bit, man. It's a long time. You know, you got a beautiful wife, and you know she's really good to my family, and she seems to really care about you. And you know, I've been through the ups and downs with you of the whole dating process, the exes and all that. And I mean that's kind of why I got you on the show today. But I mean, I've known you for a long time, you know, way back since, what was it, 2003 or 4? Yeah, 2003. And, you know, as young men, you know, we both go through it, and you learn and you live a lot. And so, I guess my question for you, I mean, I know a lot of these answers, but I feel like there's a big audience out there that's going to want to know this material you came up with, because you know, when you shared it with me, I was like, wow, man. I said, you're onto something. You know, it's gonna be really crazy if you can really bring it to fruition. And that was many years ago when this journey started for you. And to see you right now about to start it, you know, I'm happy to like put it out there for you, with you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I guess my first question for you would be, what drew you to the topic of love and writing about it?
Well, you know, it would have to do with the breakup that I went through about 8 years ago. And the thing was about it is, like, you know, I love to write. You know, I love to write, and so I had to plan on writing a personal poetry book for, you know, my ex. And
wait, it was for your ex?
It was going to be a personal poetry book for my ex. Yes, it was.
So was it after you broke up, you decided to write this book for her, or during the relationship?
No, I actually decided to write a personal poetry book for her while we were together.
Okay.
The plan was supposed to be actually an anniversary present.
Oh.
But I was only like maybe 3 poems in. Okay. And what ended up happening after we broke up, you know, I was cleaning out my closet. And my mother just so happened to be at the house with me, and I came across them, and I'm like, oh, these things. And she's like, what is it? And I'm like, oh, some poems that I wrote, you know, for my ex. And she's like, well, let me hear them. I'm like, oh, okay. So I recited them to my mom, and she loved them. And she's like, what are you going to do with them? I said, it was supposed to be for a book for her, a personal poetry book. She goes, why don't you finish it anyway? I'm like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? I thought that was kind of corny, but you know, after my mom left that night, I was sitting down thinking, and it hit me like, continue writing. Write how I would feel if I was still with her. And that's
that must have been pretty hard to even attempt to finish that. You know, being that you intended it a whole different way, or did it just give you, like fuel your material. You know how sometimes I know for me, like as a former musician, it was almost the worst times in my life actually was when I made my best material. So did it work for you that way, or was it just hard to even get it out?
It would work for me the way you previously explained it. You know, it was my therapy on how I dealt with it. Truth be told, you know,
Oh, wow.
it was an outlet for me because it was like I got to say all the things that I wanted to say.
Right.
You know, that I should have said while we were together. And
So
so that was
did you do it with like with full intentions of I'm gonna write this and I'm gonna put this out, or was it just strictly like right now this is therapy and I'm gonna finish it?
no, I wrote it to put it out.
Oh,
I wrote it
okay.
to put it out because that was my way of just putting myself out to the world, man, just sharing myself. You know, up until recently even. I mean, you know, I still had reservations about that, but that was my first attempt to break away from the chains, you know, of fear.
Okay.
You know, and that was something that needed. I use it to push me rather than stand in front of me and disable me.
Right. So I mean, why now? Did it take that long to formulate all this? Because I mean, I've known about this for a few years, or at least the makings of it before we get to the big stuff that we'll talk about in the show in a second. But just the RelationTrip book itself, I've known about it for a while, but I don't know if I knew that you always intended to put that out. So that's actually shocking to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess is it? I mean, it's one thing. I don't know. Maybe it's the same. I feel like it was easier for me as a musician to put my music out, even though it was from the heart, even though it was like giving little parts of me. I think when you do things on a relationship level, it's even harder to share that with the world. Like, how did you climb that hurdle? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's something people don't really talk about. Whatever happened in a relationship is very few people they tell about it.
Well, one of the things that I relied on, number one, would be my faith. You know, I'm really, really into my faith and what I believe. And, you know, I actually prayed, man. I got up one day, I was at the house bored, nothing to do. And I just jumped up and drove my car all the way to Malibu.
Yeah, you would do
That,
that. I remember that.
you know me, man. Like, I mean,
I remember taking those rides sometimes.
yeah, you know, and so, you know, I knew, you know, you have a family and everything like that. I wasn't going to bother you with this. So I'm just up and say, you know, jump in the car, go to Malibu. The hell with it.
Right.
I went out to Zuma Beach. And I got there and I just walked the beach, man, for about literally about a good 3 or 4 hours, man. Just sat there in complete solitude, you know, and appreciating just, you know, just the open space, man, and like realizing that there's someone on the other end of that water, on another piece of land, just like me at this very moment. And I
that's
believe
for
that.
you.
What was that?
I said that's for you. Somebody out there out in the world that's for you.
Not even that, but just someone that could really understand, that can relate to what I'm going through. You know, believing that there's somebody here on this earth, you know, that can understand what I'm going through at this moment. And with that belief, you know,
like you mean like relate, like in terms of just like, hey, I understand that, or you mean like relate, like I can be better for you?
No, relate like I can understand. Because see,
okay, gotcha.
the angle with the story
Uh-huh.
was I wanted to show how a relationship, how the buildup and the plateau and the descent of a relationship would have an effect on a man who didn't really care about, you know, serious relationships anyway. And that was the angle I went with that book. And so I'm like, okay, there's somebody somewhere, kind of like me, if not just like me, that can understand what I'm going through at this moment. And they're probably going through it as well. So that gave me the drive to write this for people out there who can be going through the same thing, which is how the idea and the term RelationTrip was born.
Right.
Is because it's like I'm at that moment, I was relation tripping.
Hey, hashtag that, man. That's the new phrase. Relation tripping.
Relation tripping,
Yeah,
man.
you gotta hashtag that, bro.
Yeah, man, and that's something that, I mean, me and you talked about. You were actually the only one who actually believed in the idea of this book until it was
good shit. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat. It was good shit. And you know, the crazy thing about that whole era, man, was, I had known you for a while, and you never presented that side of yourself or that talent for that. We did so many things together. You followed me with my music career, and then you've always been a writer. I've known you as a writer. I've known you as a thinker. I've known you as someone who comes up with grand ideas. And all of a sudden it was like, hey, I got this poetry book. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
was like, what are you doing? But then I read it and I was like, this is good shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is dope. And I remember passing it to my friends and whatnot. And you know what? Speaking about passing it to friends, Allison was over today. And I told her we were doing this podcast, and she remembers WRelationTrip, the book, the poem book,
Oh, snap.
And she was like, I still can remember those poems,
Wow.
and so, like, the people that I know that have read them, it struck a chord with them. And it was like, it was well timed, it was relevant, it was different. It wasn't your typical stanza in a poem, or your typical, like, what you would read when you read I mean, I don't even know if I've ever read a poetry book per se, but anytime you see a poem, it's just different. And this was personal.
Yeah.
And it kind of took you on a ride almost. And so it stood out, man. And I just thought it was dope. So for you to, like, present that, I was kind of like, hey, man, you're on to something. I think that went well. But so you kind of told me what the relationship book is and what it's about. What do you think it is about love that makes it so hard for people to grasp and understand and hold on to relationships or find the right relationship?
I think that people have a sense of falsehood when it comes to love. I think that people come into it expecting to be served as opposed to having the will to serve themselves. And I think that what it is the fact that I just told somebody this the other day. Someone had a question about patience in relationships. And I explained to them, I said that I think these days people have a need to want to be understood rather than to understand. And so if you come into a situation with the notion to understand more than than you want to be understood, I think that gives the balance. Where you're not expecting anything, but you're just willing to serve. You're willing to give. And I
so you think people approach love from a selfish standpoint?
Yes, I do. I think people have, like, a lot of these expectations in their heads on how they think that they're supposed to be treated, not realizing that you set the tone of how you're going to be treated. Not how you want to be, but how you're going to be treated. A lot of times, people, we're not perfect, true enough. You're going to have bad days. But for the most part, you set the tone by your actions, not about what your expectations are. And I think that's something that we don't, and I'm guilty of it too, which is why I have an ex relationship, but in my marriage.
So you suck at relationships?
Hey man, I'm the creator of relationships. For a reason. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So is it more geared towards men, or more geared because you're a man yourself, or is it geared towards women because that was your target audience, or is it an everybody kind of deal?
It's an everybody kind of deal. It's only from the perspective of a man because that's what I am.
Okay.
But I honestly wrote it so women could get the understanding. See what I mean? Like, I think that's why I said I did my research. I haven't came across too many books from a male perspective on how we deal with relationships. Like I said, in the conception of them, when they kind of plateau, kind of like that, like kind of start to get a little routine, and even when they start to fail, and I don't think that there's too many illustrations out there, whether it be book form, movie form, all of that stuff. Like, I don't think there's too many representations of how we go through things like that. But this book and this show even is about understanding. It just so happens I'm a man. That's it. That's the only difference. But it's for everybody.
So I know you just said it came out of your mouth, like you don't claim to be an expert on love or anything, but so why talk about it? Why create a book? Why, well, you told me why you created the book, but why even go further? And now that you're getting ready to do this show, why do it, dude? Like, what makes you feel like, oh, I have content and it's something I can share with people?
That is a question that I've never thought about. I would say that I wanted to do this book for the belief that I would love to see people to stay together. You know, I mean, that's something that I say a lot. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
But I going through it myself, watching you go through it, watching countless people go through it, you know, and the reasons why we've all gone through it. I'm saying to myself, like, what if we just did something a little different? You know, and it's like when you see people together, you're like, this is a beautiful couple. It's like, whoa, like you're really shocked and you're like, oh, hey, you know, Samantha and David broke up. You're like, what? Like, hey, man, really? Like, what happened? And you find out what happened. You're like, that was it? That was the reason why? Like,
yeah.
But I understand that I'm not going to be able to keep everyone together. But there are some situations that I think people decide to call it quits rather than work it out.
Yeah. Well, I think you know there are growing pains with relationships. You know, like
absolutely,
you meet someone and you're really not meant to be with them. You know, you're meant to experience that relationship and grow from it. You know, and it helps you to understand eventually what you actually do want. So I feel like maybe the first few people you date, it's not going to work out no matter what you do. Because you don't even know you yet. And I think you learn a lot about yourself.
Absolutely right.
But I mean, take me through the show. How's that format gonna work? Like, is it just gonna be like, hey, everyone just stay together, or like you know, are there gonna be taboo topics? Is it gonna be topics that will, you know, that people can relate to? Like what's gonna happen in the show that normal people will be able to say, I like this show, or you know, not only can I learn something, but maybe it's entertaining. Like, what is it?
We're gonna have honest and open discussions about the subject of love and about the dysfunction that comes with love. I don't think that there's too many conversations being had about the contradictions when it comes to love, like the things that you have to like put up with, like you know, your insecurity. You're forced to deal with those things, you know. But I think that a lot of people decide to run from it. They just figure, be good to me, I'll be good to you. It doesn't always work that way.
So is it just going to be like what are we talking about? Are we talking about, you know, since you're a married man yourself now, like, are you just going to talk about saving your marriage or working on your marriage? Or is it going to be like boyfriend and girlfriend? Is it going to be like every single type of relationship you can think of? Like
everything you can think of, because I believe that it's not, again, my marriage, you know, marriage is not, I'm going to say it's not for everybody. I want to say that a lot of people aren't there yet.
Right.
You know, and so
I mean, relationships is a broad topic, right? It's not just marriage, it's boyfriend and girlfriend. We're just dating, or, you know, we're, I guess, hooking up and on the verge of dating, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, people do it. That's the thing about relationships. People do it in so many different ways and do things differently from the next person, right? So,
I mean, what I do in my marriage, you may not do in yours. And also, the way you probably approach being single and you looking at a married couple may be completely different on how I saw that same married couple.
So can a single person watch this show and still grab something from it?
Absolutely. I call it single shit, where it's like you're going through your phase of wanting to be single, choosing to be single because you don't necessarily believe in the institution of marriage. You don't necessarily feel like you're ready to be tied down in a relationship. if you, believe that you're tied down, which I don't think that anyone ever is, but if you may feel that way. So I'll decide to call that a single ship.
Okay.
That's a journey that you're on at the moment as a single person. Whether I may think that you're doing something wrong, you may think you're doing something completely right.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I to say? But that's why this show is an open forum.
Okay.
For everyone.
So
in that atmosphere, when it comes to the heart.
Is it just going to be you talking about relationships, or is there going to be guests? Are you going to have couples on? Are you going to have like just various people? Like, how is this going to work? Can you possibly give me an idea of, like, I tune in on the show, what am I hearing?
You're going to hear an honest conversation about subjects that are cookie cutter, subjects that are extremely taboo, subjects that are going to offend some people, subjects.
But just from your point of view, or like what am I getting?
No, you're going to get. You're getting right now, as of now. I am the sole host of the show, but I'm going to have special guests as often as I can. I'm going to have couples, actual couples. I'm going to invite my friends out. Hopefully, have you on the show. Plenty of people who I feel that could bring something positive and energetic and fun to the show that could elaborate on that topic of relationships. Okay,
I'm excited for it, man. I've been excited for a while, man, and to see you get into a place where you're getting ready to do it, it's really exciting, man. Like, so when is this gonna happen? When and where can we get the first show?
Well, I just recorded a teaser, like an introduction to the show. A few days ago. I'm putting it up. Should be up on Wednesday.
Okay.
On SoundCloud and YouTube.
Okay. You got any links for me yet, or not yet?
Not yet. I'm working on them as we speak, and I'm working on the script for the next episode.
Okay. So, when you get that, man, just share it on. This is gonna be posted on YouTube. So when you get those links, man, drop it in the comment section so people can find you, man. Because that's people are gonna want to tune into this. I'm telling you, I think it's good stuff. What about the RelationTrip book? Like, is that out and available? Can people find that?
Yes, they can. They can pick it up on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. We're active, and also can reach me at the.
Do they just search RelationTrip, or like how do they find it?
Type in RelationTrip, and it comes up.
Okay.
Just type in keyword RelationTrip, and there you go.
Okay, keyword RelationTrip. Hey, man, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I had to, this is also my first podcast, so I thought it was only right. I said, man, he's getting ready to do a show. I'm starting a podcast. Let me put him on because he's got a great topic, and just kind of do it that way. And I just think, I think this is going to work, man. I think people are really going to tune into this, and you can really push a lot of good conversation, about relationships, the good, the bad, the ugly, the fun times, the not so great times. I think it's going to be good stuff, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. I'm excited about it. I had really, really put a lot of thought into it. And again, you were the first person I came to with this book in complete form. And, I've talked to you plenty of times about my ideas about all these different things I wanted to do with it. And this came to me, man, I've never really wanted to do anything to put myself in a spotlight. But jumping on something I wanted to do for a long time, which is a podcast, I'm getting comfortable with it, and I'm really excited about this show. I'm excited about the book. I got another book coming out, RelationTrip Notes. I call it 57 ways on how not to make a mess of your relationship. Yeah, and that's actually coming out this week Friday.
Okay. And where can the people find that then?
On the website, actually, and on my social media pages. I'm working on doing different ways on how I can reach people with my content. So you can find me on Instagram, RelationTripping, Twitter @RelationTripping, Facebook.
Relation Tripping or Relation Trip?
Relation Tripping.
Okay.
Facebook Relation Trip. And also email me, relationtripshow@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, we're here to serve the people.
Man, well, with that being said, man, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, brother.
I'm Ra Palacio. Well, this is the first episode of the What You Know About It podcast. Thanks for joining us, and I will see you guys next time. We out.
Bye.